And that makes it go time. It's Friday. I I don't know why I'm so happy about Fridays. I love Fridays because I love Pie Day Friday. I love drama, but it's just another day. Last night I worked until 1:30 this morning, and then I got up a little after 5 to get started again with arms in the air. Yay, done with this project, off my plate. Now I can go work on my other big one and then get that one off my plate and do something new. And then the people to whom I turned it in said, oh, well, you're not done. You got this stuff to do, and there's a time crunch. So as soon as the show is done here, it'll be 4 o'clock my time. I have 12 hours worth of work in order to finish again this thing. So this Friday, I'm gonna miss the baseball game tonight, and so much more. I'm gonna stay up so late that I'm gonna sleep in tomorrow and lose much of my weekend. I'm look at me. I look like I've had 4 hours of sleep in the last 40. Oh well, that's how it goes. Anyways, we're here. I'm here. Glad to see you. Oh, I know what I was about to do just before I thought I ought to start the show. Hang on, I gotta go make a note. Oh, that's a good place to do that. Okay, put that there. Sorry, stand by. I can't spell. And oh man, oh, this one. Okay, now my notes are complete. I beg your pardon. We need our tea with lemon. Hey, anybody who watched Mike's show on Wednesday and offered zillions of, oh, I didn't check. Nobody is griping that I can't be heard, so I will assume that I am audible. I've done a ton of computer experiments this morning. It's one of the reasons I got up so early is so that I could set up a system and, well, I'll explain it later. Either way, short version is it didn't work. And speaking of didn't work, if you got to see Mike's show on Wednesday, he did a system build, and the silly thing would not boot up when he got all done. And everybody was offering suggestions, and he was looking. And so we talked a little bit after the show, and it was, of course, a head slapper. I'm not going to steal his thunder, but he shot a 4-minute troubleshooting video, how I troubleshot this and what the problem was. And I'm trying to convince him, for the sake of 4 minutes, just do a 4-minute piece on your Monday show. And I think he's going to do that, but we'll see. If not, I'll post the video that he shot in the YouTube archives, the playlist. Yeah, that's what I'll do. And you can see that, but at a minimum, I know he'll tell you about it, and hopefully he'll do it live, what we did with the show. All right, well, let's go see who has already joined us. Man, it has been such a busy morning. I'm so far behind. Okay, we got live chat on. We got timestamps on. Tullowood turns up 10 minutes later than usual. Tullowood, I hope you are feeling better. I definitely need to talk to you, and understand we haven't been able to because you've been under the weather. I will have a tough time talking with you today because my next 16 hours are totally mapped out minute by minute. The missus is out of town. I'm going to set up aside 4 minutes to talk with her, and then back to leave me alone. You got to work. Will Shaw, back in the fold. I've seen your name pop up a couple of times in different places. Well, you were on, I think you appeared on Mike's show on Wednesday. So greetings. I need some pie in life. I do. Andre de Goyert is here. Was reviewing OSI model stuff, and now I want sausage pizza. There is a course that I moderate that most of you guys aren't participants in, and probably no one here is. Nah, no inside baseball on that one. I moderate all the courses on Udemy that we have, fine. But those aren't the only platforms where we do this. You know, we're on LinkedIn, and technically I moderate on that, but I never get any questions. There's nothing to do on that. So I'm very happy with that. And then there's one that you guys have never heard of. It's kind of an education, a learning, an LMS. There we go. Learning methodology system syndrome. Syndrome. See, I need just a little more sleep. Anyways, we have 5 classes on that. We do a PC troubleshooting. It has nothing to do with certification. It's just here's some practical information for those of you who don't have a lot of experience and want to take the bull by the horns and not pay the nice folks over at Geek Squad or whatever. That's a fun course. Got a Network Plus course, and we have an A+ course that's actually broken out into 3 different courses. And in the Network Plus course, one of the exercises that we have our students do is create your own mnemonic for the OSI model. Some of them are just unusable, like collections of words that start with PDNTSDP. I did that. Some of them are incredibly clever, and then there are those who decide not to make their own, and they're just going to research it, and they always come up with the big 4, including the one Will's referring to. Please do not throw sausage pizza away. PDNTSPA. That works from presentation on, or from physical on up to application. The other 3, if you didn't know them already, people don't need to see Paul Anka if you're that old, Paula Abdul for younger people, and then my favorite, invented by a student of mine. No, it wasn't. I invented it, and then my students all learn it. And I've been called out by this once in a restaurant. Some guy pointed to me standing next to his wife, and he said, "Look, honey, poor Dave needs to seek psychoanalysis." My wife said, "Yeah, that guy really does know you." All right. So yeah, I'm feeling the need for pizza too. My missus had pizza recently with cauliflower crust. Didn't share it with me, so I don't know the answer to that. I've been eating pizza for the last year, maybe 4 times with no crust, a pizza bowl. I'm pretty sure that's where Papa John's got the idea. Man, I love pizza bowls. I just pulled some ground beef and ground pork yesterday or 2 days ago to thaw, so I can do that this very week while the missus is out of town. Under your Osama will do that to you. Yes, it will. Cooling McCoolson back again for another swing. Back in the ring for another swing. Blake C, welcome back. Good to see you. Mom SD, Mom's D. One of these days, you're going to have to tell us how to pronounce that. M. Where can you buy a pie these days? Not the usual sources. Zeros are available. They're stocking them. You can actually purchase them. The other ones, they come out in tiny little batches, and the only way to buy them is from some scalper who will just take you for everything that you're worth. I paid for a 4 earlier this year, $155, because I needed it and I was willing to pay for it, but you just can't get them. And the same goes for all their competitors. Everybody's having the same silicon shortages. I see this question come up all the time on the Raspberry Pi forums. I can't get a Raspberry Pi. What's the cheapest alternative? There is none. Nobody can get anything. Sorry, we are hosed until the grand global supply chain failures recover. But if you're willing to buy from scalpers, I scalped. I sold a whole bunch of Raspberry Pi 2, Model 2s. I sold 6 of them. How's that? For, I don't know, $260, something insane like that. Yeah, I feel bad, except I used the money to buy 155 of that to buy 1 Raspberry Pi 4. Hello, Ed. I put together an OSI model, but the leftover pieces, I knew it as soon as I started reading it. Norbik Bogosian, welcome back, sir. Hi, David. My question is about RAID option on main board. What should we do when main board doesn't have RAID we need? Buy a RAID controller. That's your only choice. If you're, well, okay, that's not your only choice. There are two choices. The better choice of the two is to purchase a RAID controller that does the type or types of RAID that you want to do. Prices vary. You may find something cruddy as low as 50 bucks. They head on upwards of 600 and 700 or 800 for powerful, flexible, fast stuff. The other choice, I don't think this is a choice, but if this came up on a CompTIA question, this is an answer that would be available and you can select from, and that is software RAID, right? You could use Microsoft Storage Solutions and do a software RAID 0, a software RAID 1. They don't call them RAID 0 or RAID 1. They are Microsoft proprietary approaches to RAID, and they even have a couple of their own types of RAID that don't exist in the standard RAID levels or definitions 0, 1, 5, 6, 1, 0, and 0, 1. But those are your two answers: a RAID controller, or which is, it's a plug-in card. It's an add-on card, a slotted card. Andre, you're harsh. Still a bit ill, 10 minutes late due to Android 13 update for my phone. Okay, that's fair. My mom loves Paul Anka. I'll have to tell her that one. People don't need to see Paul Anka. All right, that's caught up with everybody. Let us see what is, let me get this junk out of the way here. I'm going to put all the links up right now in the chat feed. Oh, I didn't do my welcome. That means I get to do my welcome again next week. That's a good thing. Pi Square server up and running, as it has been since early this morning. You can get it at pirsquare.zapto.org. All of my archives, including the archives from today's show, are in there. If you just can't get enough of this or these people or these kinds of people, there exists an unofficial Total Seminars Discord channel. It's unofficial. We have nothing to do with it. It's operated and run by people who don't work or are otherwise not connected, except peripherally and by friendliness, to Total Seminars. But they have built one heck of a Discord server. It's an open server. This is the invite to it. They've got 450 plus people on there. It's almost back to its original thing before it crashed down and had to get rebuilt from scratch for reasons that aren't worth anybody's time to explain. But it's cool. There's lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of subforums. If my computer is turned on, it's logged into there. And I head to this spot probably 18 hours a day. So if you ever want to get in touch with me, you can always email me. I'll put my email address up in a second. But if you want real-time conversation, there's an 80% chance if you're typing in something and says at drushtx or at Dave R, whatever I am over there, I will see it and respond almost instantaneously. Specials, we got specials. 50% off of a bundle that you create by going to totalsem.com and pick an area of study. AWS Systems Architecture Associate, Pen Test Plus, Cybersecurity Analyst, Net Plus, A Plus, Sec Plus, you get that, all that stuff. What you do is you go to totalsem.com and you pick 2 items for that area of study. One, the ebook. The hard copy book won't work for the discount, but if you put the ebook in there, and by the way, the ebook is available for $220 1100X at Total Sem right now. The hard copy book, like everybody else's hard copy book, just ain't available yet because they're still waiting on printing, but we do have the ebook. Anyways, put the ebook for your interest of area of study in your basket. Put Total Tester Online, the practice test from that same area of study. And then when you check out, use the code SPOOKY, right? This is Halloween week. Monday this week was Halloween. So that is the way to get 50% off of those 2 items in your basket. If you have other things in your basket, they're regular price. And no, I don't know what happens if you create a bundle for Net Plus and a bundle for CYSA Plus in the same basket, because I don't know and I've never gotten a good answer. If you feel like doing that, do it as a separate purchase. That guarantees everything works fine. Of course, another way to get a really great price on Total Tester Online, our practice test, is to hang around here for the next 45 minutes or an hour or so, where I will be giving one away in a total contest. And what's today? We're going to do another A+ practice test question from our practice test database. What else is going here? How about a couple emails and LinkedIn addresses, and that'll take care of all the posting for the momento. There's my email addresses, daveR@totalsem.com or drushtx@yahoo.com. And if you haven't linked with me, if you're not following me on LinkedIn, it would be a good thing to do. I haven't posted anything in 2 weeks because I have been swamped beyond belief, but I'm getting caught up. Soon, rapidly soon, I will start posting again over there. Always something that I think is interesting. Anyways, you may not feel so much. All right, that's all I need from that stuff. I'm going back just to make sure what I haven't missed here. Words that are never spoken. My mom loves Paul Anka. I'm not going to recommend this movie to your mom. I'm going to recommend a movie to you and anybody else who likes quirky movies. If you watch this, you're going to hate it. Okay, first timers, including myself, hate this movie the first time they watch it. They don't understand it. It takes a while to figure out. You have to watch this dozens of times. The third or fourth time, you start to like it. And after that, I have seen it 30, 40 times, and there's always something new in it. The movie is called Mad Dog Time. There's another name. It goes by a different title in Europe. Trigger Happy, I believe it's called over there. The cast, unbelievable. Jeff Goldblum, the Brody from, not Brody, Hooper from Jaws, I can't think of his name, and an incredible cast. Ellen Barkin, and wow, it's full of Julie Newmar, I think, is in there. Sorry, I have just lack of sleep. I'm not making connections. The neurons have all gone, I'm going to sleep. I'll pass dopamine later. Anyways, there is a scene in there with see, total name loss, with Paul Anka, though, among other people. And Paul's doing kind of a one-man show where he starts to sing My Way. I did it my way, which is he wrote for Sinatra and others. And it's incredible. He can act. He never finishes the song because something else happens. Gabriel Byrne is on stage with him and does this wonderful takeover. But watch the movie, hate it, watch it again a few more times, you'll love it. And then show your mom the Paul Anka scene. It's sorry, you can see what I can see in my mind right now. You would crack too. Paul. Just for the fun of it, Paul Anka is from the Middle East. Anka, I think it's a shortening of Ankara or something. TD Wash is here. Greetings back to you. Techie Tommy's here. Don't have to be sorry you're late. I never do anything interesting at the beginning. Except that was, I think. I'll watch it 6 times sober, then 6 times drunk. That's fun. You know, I have never watched the entire front to back Napoleon Dynamite. I want to, I have to. It's a time thing. I want to sit down in front of a television and binge. And about the only thing I ever get a chance to do that with is the Star Wars series stuff that came out lately. And sometimes I'll miss What We Do in the Shadows for a couple of weeks and then binge that. But Watching movies is so hard. One came across my movie feed yesterday. I want to watch it. I want to watch it tomorrow night because tonight I'm going to be working all night. But I'll have to wait for the missus to get home because she will hate it if I watch it first without her. The Weird Al movie is out and online, and I'm stoked. I've seen Weird Al live. Could not stop grinning for hours. Jackie Tommy, don't throw it away. Richard Dreyfuss, that was one of the other main character that I was looking to think of. Reading questions here. Where can I buy this OSI model? Oh, you get it at hobby shops. They got the two. They got the metal one, which you have to solder, or if you're good, you can spot weld. And then the other ones, they're plastic, and you can use the old plastic testers model glue, which is outlawed in so many states now. Can a Beowulf cluster be built with Raspberry Pi? Not only can it, we've done it. I believe we did that like in our first year of operation. It's probably in 2020 or 2021. Here, I can give you that answer fairly like quickly. We go up here, we search cluster. No, not luster. Cluster goes in the box. Yeah. Round robin clusters, DNC load balancers, cluster stack. What's the date on that? 2021, February 12th. Build your first Raspberry Pi cluster. We did it over 3 weeks. So go start looking back through the playlist at February 12th of 21, and you too will find out how to make, that was part 2 on February 12th. Yeah, so the week before we would have done part 1, which would be about February 5th. So look back in there. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing. We did it as a lab, as a 3-unit cluster, 1 master and 2 nodes, 2 workers. And one day after the second episode, I said, I got some more pies lying around here. I'll just do a little bit of work and make myself a 5 pie cluster. This is going to go crashing down. I just know it. All right. Should I make him dance while I do this? Nah, I cannot get that off of there. How about I point the camera over there? I can do that. This is going to change everything. All right. So right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and on the ground where you can't see it is a 5-node Raspberry Pi cluster. So yes, you absolutely certainly can and should make a Raspberry Pi cluster. And things will not have changed enough from then till now that the instructions would have to change. I don't believe. Yeah, back to reading questions. Revel, exactly. Revel. Ink, link. Oh, come on. What you do, Techie Tommy, is on the page where you go to see Mike's show or my show, youtube.com/user/total seminars channel. When you go to there, you always see the upcoming show or the most recently shown show. But if you look at the tabs across the list, you'll see playlists. And go click on playlists. I think mine is the first one that comes up usually, and then tell it to not play the most recent, but view all of them, and then they're all organized in date order. You're very welcome. All right, well, let's see what's in notes here. Today is Drama Friday Pie Day. It is November 4th if you're not watching this live, and November 5th, tomorrow night, is the time, the day that the US changes clocks. It's fall, so we fall back, which means if you don't change clocks where you live right now, Mike's show and my show will be 1 hour earlier for you. I had to put a lot of thought into getting that right. I hope I got it right. So it'll still be 2 o'clock Central Time for me and Mike. We'll be on Central Standard Time now instead of Central Daylight Time. But that is now an hour earlier than it used to be. I don't know, something like that. Or an hour later. Just keep watching the shows. I am David Rush. I didn't mention that. I'm the senior instructor at Total Seminars, and this is an Ask Me Anything. Since I'm Dave Rush, and it's an Ask Me Anything, we put all those letters together. We come up with drama. I'm just reading my text. I haven't read this in a long time. In addition to being the senior instructor, I wear a lot of hats, and I do. This is show number 116. So nothing special coming up. Next special show we've got coming up is in March. We got Pi Day Friday coming up, the real Pi Day, March 14th. And let's see what day of the week that falls on this year. February, March 14th. It's a Tuesday. Boy, you couldn't get farther away from drama than that, could you? Yeah, I got to change that next week. That'll be fun. We do AMAs 3 times a week. Mike does 2 a week on Mondays and Wednesdays, 2 o'clock local time. And I do it at 2 o'clock local time on Fridays. If you want to contact us, the easiest way to do it is live real time on the YouTube chat. But otherwise, I posted my email address up there. I am Dave, Dave R at totalsem.com. Mike is Michael M at totalsem.com. Anybody else at TotalSem is their first name, their last initial at totalsem.com. We haven't seen Andrew on here in a while. He's become a bigwig over at TotalSem these days. I saw him posted on LinkedIn the other day. He was recently, in the last week or so, promoted to editor-in-chief. So, from a guy who just, like you, hung out here, asked questions, was very participatory in the unofficial Total Seminars Discord channel, a lot of conversations between us and him, and we got a sense for what he did and what he does. And next you know, we interview him as a contractor position, and he's been writing for us for a couple of years. And now, because of some personnel changes, they offered him the editor-in-chief position, which he's accepted. And so if you know Andrew, give him a congratulations. He posted that on LinkedIn a day or two ago. And he's a really great guy. Did the discounts. Feature. All right, so let's start talking about the show and Pi. Remember, you don't always need a Raspberry Pi to do the projects that we do. And that is so true today. We're going to use a Raspberry Pi because that's what I do. It's what I have. And along with multiple Ubuntu machines now. But the project that we're going to do today is how to gather information about your operating system and your hardware. And this is fairly universal. The commands that I'm going to use and the programs that I'm going to use can be used across certainly most, if not all, Debian distros and many non-Debian distros. Red Hats are fine for this. Arch Linuxes are fine. Even Mac OS, very specific. The stuff that I'm going to talk about here, it's all been tested on Mac OS, so it's kind of cool. So if you don't have a Raspberry Pi yet and you want to do what I'm doing today, I have 2 pieces of advice. First of all, do it on any other Linux machine that you can get your hands on. Take that old 486 machine and install the current version of Ubuntu on there. It'll work. The next generation of Linux will no longer work on 486s. It'll work after that, but the Linus Torvalds said, no, I'm pulling 486 support. That's just too old. But of course, you can also install it as a virtual machine. You can install it on a more modern machine. There's a million cheap computers that you pick up at boot sales and garage sales. I'm itchy. I'm sorry. I'm sticking my hands all over my face. How it goes. And put some Linux distro on there. They're great to learn from. They're great to use. They are not big memory hogs, especially for the kinds of things that you and I do every day. So really useful, really worthwhile, and it's a lot of fun. So get yourself some kind of Linux and do many of the experiments on them that we do, except for those ones that are just exclusively Raspberry Pi focused. And today is not the case for that. The other thing, of course, is on my favorite Raspberry Pi. Okay, one of the 60 that I have running around here. There's a web server, pirsquare.zapto.org. I posted the link for that. I'll post it again because I like it. And as most of you know, what do we got here? We got a handful of people here. This is a server that I maintain that has an archive of all of the notes and documents that I use to create my show every week. So if I've got an outline, if I've got a project, a how-to, a step-by-step, whatever the case may be, I zip that all up every week and put that in downloads page at pirsquare.zapto.org, which is posted at 2:30 in the YouTube chat feed. Excuse me, here comes my hiccups. Right on time, just always 30 minutes into the show, right? And I run that from early Friday morning to late Sunday night and any other time on request. I'm just not ready and happy to run it 24 hours a day. It's too much of an exposure to all the other systems in my home. Somebody could hack into that and then start using the tools in it to hack the rest of my stuff. So, but if you say, kick me a note on email or on Discord or whatever and say, Dave, can you fire up your server or fire it up at this time and this date for an hour, I'll do it. It'll happen. So where we've been and where we're going. Last week, we took a look at CPU-X on Linux. It's an open source application, looks and feels very similar to CPU-Z. Today, we're going to look at methods to determine which Linux distro is running on your host, including code names, kernel versions, other information, and hardware information. It's it's an easy thing. I'm going to show you a handful of ways to use native Linux commands that are already in your system, and I'm going to show you two really cool information gathering utilities that download and install in a couple of seconds, and they are just nifty as all get out. Geez Louise, eh? And I'll tell you what I'll do. I will post my inspiration. If not a native tutorial, I borrow a lot and heavily from this one. So if you ever get to my server and if you say, look, I got to get out of here, I got to leave Dave's show early, I'm going to miss it. Here's a link with all the information, in different order, different format, some different discussion and education around it. But everything that I'm going to talk about today is in this thing over at cybercity.biz. And you can't copy paste it because it's more characters there, but if you click on the link, it will work. It's just a quirk of YouTube. And this was written to run on Raspberry Pi, but I've run it on my Ubuntu box, both of them. Let's see. Oh man, Tellowit. Tellowit, the fever has not broken. You are still hallucinating. I fear for you. The machines won't break down. They become self-aware and annihilate us. And kudos for spelling annihilate. News, tricks, and techniques of the week. Let's do a little file sharing. So turnout to our costume party after last week's show was low, but high quality. So I'm going to share with you a couple of pics from that show. Man, Zoom changed its icon. They do this regular update all the time. And I keep looking down on my panel here for Zoom for the icon that I'm used to, and it's not there. And oh yeah, okay, there's the change. And it just happened today. So it confuses me. All right, so this was a screenshot of three of us live and online. This is Andre de Goyert. You're here. I have large pictures of everybody. So I will explain further if you don't understand his costume. I don't know who this guy is. He just turned up and we said, fine, it's an open server. You can come in. But we didn't let him talk. By the way, the costume is from Mad Dog Time. This is a costume. Sorry, that's not from Mad Dog Time. It is a Jeff Goldblum character. It's from The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension. And man, that's probably one of my top, it is a top 10 guilty pleasure movie for me. This is Tullowit wearing a green screen. And it's working right now because you can't see his face. If he moves this just the right amount, his face appears in all that. It was a pretty darn cool costume. There. That's what his arms and face look like. Those of you who've never seen Tullowit or Andre, now's your chance. So there's Andre in a little larger format. This is a combination of a costume that he did last year. It had horns in it, but now it's a little more Putin-esque. Awesome job as always, Andre. Character's name is New Jersey. This costume isn't complete, but it's good from the waist up. I've got the jeans, I got the shirt, I got the kerchief and the hat. The hat's pretty close to right. I've got a great holster and gun belt. I need the right gun. I need woolly chaps, and I need the right boots. It's going to take me a year to find all those, but I'm going to go as this character again next year with more stuff. If we didn't know it was a green screen, it'd be so much fun to guess what that is. All right, this is the other neat thing in my world. This is my Linux daily driver. I don't regret switching to Linux, but I work very hard, and I was not able to get Zoom to run reliably today on there. I had all the pieces on there, but every time I started streaming, it would crash. So I will work on that. I didn't have much time. I had a lot of other important things to do. But this was right after the install was completed, after putting a virtual box for Linux on Ubuntu and then setting up Windows 11 in that virtual box. So this was the first update, and then later I got it all updated and right resolutions and full size and changed the background in it. So this is Windows 11 running in VirtualBox, running on Ubuntu. And that is it for the slideshow. How do we get out of there? This thing. Don't shut off what you're doing, right? Okay, so that's the costume party. For those of you who've been following, it has been a little over a week since I encountered my tick. Never saw any symptoms of Lyme disease. So this Band-Aid, it's my second Band-Aid. We have ancient Band-Aids. I pulled one off and it was just impossible to get all the paper off of it, but I slapped it on. And after a few days, it was time to change out the Band-Aid. Taking that off was like going to a wax salon. I lost a lot of hair and it was very painful. But then I left it off for a couple of days. I get some air on it and whatever. And then it got itchy and I scratched it one day and it gushered. So I had to throw another one of these on. It'll never come off. I'm terrified to take it off. What little hair is left on that spot on my arm is going to be gone. Anyway, healthy, wealthy, and wise. I do not seem to have any tick bite symptoms, and they tend to turn up in the first 72 hours. So it's been 140 some odd hours. I should be good. Talked about clock changes, talked about that. All right, that's all the news and tricks and traps of the week. Where we at on time? 39, good time. Sinus infections hit him hard. Okay, so I'm reading past time mark 234. Who doesn't deserve kudos? I spell checked it after getting it wrong. That's where the kudos is. Okay, go to Reddit and look at the way people type. They just type phonetically, if that. It always, look, I'm old school, okay? Bad spelling bugs me. I understand it's the way, and fine. But for me, in my little side business, if you send me an email and 2/3 of the words are phonetic, if I respond, I don't care how qualified you are, writing and communicating is, I believe, important. And so I really enjoy, I'm not a grammar Nazi. I don't pick on other people for poor spelling or grammar or anything like that, but I really enjoy watching it. And I am certain in my heart of hearts that many recruiters take that into account. You have to look at something and say, look, this person says they're a great network technician and they want to work for me as a network technician, but they've not taken the time to learn to construct a sentence or spell it correctly. International people, you get a pass, fine. English is a tough language, and many of your languages are tough, and learning them both. Woo. But you're born here, you're raised here. I expect decent communication. If I'm HR, then I would expect decent communication skills, and that includes writing. What do you mean you didn't know pictures were taken? I told you I'm taking pictures. Oh, here we go again. Time to wipe out the killers. Goodness my gracious. Oh, you bots. And then we do that. And we do that. Okay. They'll be back. They always attack twice. At least they have lately. All right, reading messages that aren't from Russian bots. The face was the scarier part. You're horrible people. A very furry shepherd. I need woolly chaps. I'm going to wind up making a pair. I'm on the hunt for a couple of lambskin rugs. One won't do it because they tend to be 20 to 24 inches wide at their widest part. And that's just, I need full leg wrap. A homeless ghost. Soak it in baby oil or olive oil. Okay. I was going to use some kind of petroleum based stuff, acetone or mineral spirits, but sure. Olive oil. I'm loving that idea. Something to work off, something to snack on. Yeah, baby oil is mineral oil, just highly diluted. So, okay. I joined the Discord server, says Blake C. Although my name is different on there. Many people do the same thing. There's a handful of people that are here who use the same name, but by and large, different names. So no problem. There's a number of people here who are moderators also. They will welcome you. They're probably welcoming you already if they haven't already done so. All right, it's 43 minutes past the hour. I shouldn't do a Scottish brogue with a Greek fisherman's hat, but the Greek accent is a toughie because it's subtle. So I'm not doing it. Anyway, it is 43 minutes past the hour or so. And that seems like a good time. What do we got here? What's the body count looking like? No, I want a few more people to do a contest. How's them apples? So what else we got in notes? Giveaway contest is coming up. News. The project. Sorry, things that live in my mind. So I'm thinking about troubleshooting and Mike's issue. For anybody who watched the show and offered a suggestion, or even if you didn't, you saw the suggestions that were offered, Mike tried them all, none of them worked. So let me set this out. Let's just do a little group troubleshooting and see where it goes. So Mike hooks up a motherboard. He hooks up power supply connectors to it, a P1, couple of P4s, CPU power, all all kinds of goodies, lots and lots of stuff. He had power to go into the LEDs on the RAM, power going to his liquid cooling system. Okay, so it's all powered. He did not install the video card yet. He installed RAM, installed obviously the power supply. Something else that he installed, didn't install keyboard. He connected video. And in theory, what should happen? You get all that stuff connected, plugged in, and it's got the CPU cooler assembly plugged in, or at least attached. And so at this point, even with nothing, with no keyboard, with no mouse, you should be able to hit the power switch, either bridge the two power on pins with something metal, or that motherboard's got an on-off switch, and it should come to life long enough to boot twice. It's an Intel-based system, and all Intel systems, when they have a new CPU installed, or you change the CPU, that means a new one is, it comes up briefly, registers the CPU with BIOS, and then shuts down. And then a couple of moments later, it comes up again. Now, even if you didn't have the CPU cooling fan connected, it'll come up for a couple of moments, enough to show you a boot screen or a pre-boot screen, or a screen that will lead you to the setup program, or sometimes they'll take you straight into the setup program. Oftentimes, if you don't have the plug plugged in for your CPU cooling system, a message will come up that warns you, hey, your CPU is going to overheat. You want to continue this power on, or would you like to shut down? It is completely safe to continue, because built into all AMD and Intel CPUs is a thermal shutdown protection system. It says, when I get to a certain temperature, which is well below that temperature that would actually damage this thing, I'm going to shut myself off. So you can go up long enough, and if that much works, if it comes up and you see anything on the screen, your motherboard is working, your RAM is working, your CPU is working, your video system is working. That's enough. That's the test. After that, then we can start disassembling it and reassembling it in the case, and start adding all of the other accoutrements, the keyboard, the mouse, the video cards, whatever, and off we go. And if I were going to do that, I would put it in the case and build it exactly as I had out of the case, like Mike did. So just RAM, just power supply, just the motherboard, CPU, cooling system, and a video connection, and say, let's make sure that I can replicate what I did out of the case in the case. Yeah, okay, good, then continue on. And if not, all right. So that's what's supposed to happen. Mike hits the big power button, nothing happens. Nothing. The power supply fan spins a little bit, but it'll do that. But nothing going on the motherboard. The lights on the RAM lit up, and that was it. Maybe there was one LED on the motherboard, and he tried swapping RAM, and he tried swapping this and swapping that, and none of it worked. So my question to you, especially if you were there and you saw all the other suggestions and you tried them all, they didn't work, what would you do? Where do you test next? What do you try next? This motherboard will not come to life. Host won't wake up, no lights on the motherboard, CPU fans not spinning. Hello, it. My video recommendation right now, I see Hannah Montana Linux. Yeah, this is real. Why would someone do that? Why? Samajallo, welcome back. Nice to see you again, my friend. So somebody help me out here. Somebody troubleshoot. What would you do if that motherboard were sitting in front of you? Maybe a customer was building it and abandoned it and called you, tech support, and said, come over and make my system work. Good answer, Will. Well, you're all reaching out hard to try and work with me here. If you're not going to participate in that, there's a good chance you're not going to do well on the giveaway test, which is going to happen in about 5 minutes. because I have no clue. I'd assume the mobile was fried. Not a bad assumption, right? I mean, there's nothing to prove that it isn't. There is a direct path from 5 volts from the power supply that goes to the LEDs on the RAM socket. So they just light up. It's not like they did any patterns. There was no intelligence to them. So a good theory. So tell you what, we swap out the motherboard and same results. Take everything apart and start rebuilding part by part. I agree with that. I kind of agree with that. I guess it's an issue of speed. You're certainly right. That would be a good thing. Let's say that you did that and you got the same results. So there's one path. There's another path. You did that and it works. And the problem with that is, great, you fixed it, but you don't know what the problem was because you took it all out. So not exactly a divide and conquer. It's just a hands up and try it again. My first check is power source and PSU. I agree with that. I agree with that. There's no lights on here except the CPU, or except the LEDs on the RAM. And that doesn't take any intelligent circuits to run. That's just some DC line. So you got dozens of DC lines coming out of that power supply. So I think I would test that as well. I tested it. It came out perfect. Okay, you can be just a beginner. That's all right. Voltmeter, checking power supply voltage connection. That's my next guess. Secondary MOBA doesn't work. Okay. That is absolutely the direction that I would go in as well. And Mike went in that direction as well, and it tested fine. All right. I'm not going to give you any more than that. Mike is going to talk about this on his show on Monday and give you all of his troubleshooting process, what he found when he did troubleshooting and testing, and what he did as a result of what he found. His testing results. There we go. All right, so let's do a contest. I am feeling like giving something away. Yeah, I should have waited when we had more people, but here we go. We always do this contest near the bottom of the first hour. And we're going to do a giveaway contest where we're going to give away 90-day free access to the Total Tester practice test of your choice. We got A+, we got Network Plus, we got Security Plus, and the A+ is the new current one. Same for all Net Plus and Sec Plus, and CYSA Plus and Pen Test Plus, and lots and lots and lots of other goodies. If you win today, please contact me with your winning submission today, so that I can get that turned into the appropriate people. I'm not going to have much time in the next 16, 15 hours to do anything. I will, when I see that email come in, I'm going to handle it, get it forward along with all the other winners from this week, and then head down off radar and working on this project. I know you're just dying to know what the project is. I'll tell you about it in a second. Let me get my other notes here ready to go. Okay, that's all set. Good thing I called in sick for my 3 weeks workday, my 3 work days, so I can make it on Monday. Well, you don't have to call in sick. My understanding is everybody over at Delta is dissatisfied and is about to strike. Boy, if you're the striking organization, it's a great time. Everybody's hurting. No, we can't strike now. We're in bad enough shape as it is. So I would suggest you probably have heavy leverage. All right. So back to contest here. So the contest is for 30 days and 90 days access to a Total Tester of your choice. I'm going to put up a multiple choice practice test question from Total Tester 2201101. It'll have 4 possible answers. One of them is correct. All you have to do is type in that what you believe to be that one correct answer. If you see somebody type in what you believe is the correct answer, don't give up. Type in yours, because I don't pick based on first anymore. I pick based on right answer and how frequently or how recently somebody's won. So if you haven't won recently or frequently, your odds are better than someone who has. Andre, you're already going to pass. Word from Mike. All right, are we ready to rock here? Winner, you're going to send me an email. I'll show you exactly what to send when I get that far after we announce the right answer and the winner's name. So stick around if you win, just for 1 or 2 minutes until you get the information that we need to get to you so you can get information to us. Sorry, I'm losing all my notes. There they are. Tutorial link. All right. You ready? Here we go. We're going to share this screen. I'm going to read the question. I'm going to read the choices. Then I'm going to do it again. You can type in your answer anytime you want into the chat channel. This is not the question or answer. This is what the winner will do when we get done. Here comes the question. Clickety clack. Multiple choice. Choose one answer. It's from our 220-1101 practice test. Type in the correct answer. Don't say A, B, C, or D. Here's your question. Tara is looking to breathe new life into an aging man. I try and get these typos and I never do it. I have to hand type these in. You can't copy paste them from the practice test. Anyway, breathe new life into an aging Windows 10 desktop by replacing two 4GB DDR3 RAM modules with two 8GB modules. Going to go from a total of 8 gigs to 16 gig. Which type of RAM is she least likely to purchase to accomplish this task? Your 4 choices: DDR3, single channel, ECC, dual channel. Question again, Tara is looking to breathe new life into an aging Windows 10 desktop by replacing two 4GB DDR3 RAM modules with two 8GB modules. Which type of RAM is she least likely to purchase? DDR3, single channel, ECC, dual channel. So let's see what's coming up on answers here. No, Abu Bakr, I will not tell you what the problem is. I'm not stealing Mike's thunder. He will tell you on his show next week. I want to, believe me. Good thing I call it. Okay. Blue Lantern, are you part of the pen test club? If you're asking that of me, the answer is no. How about the RAM? Maybe the frequency wasn't. Oh, we're still troubleshooting there, huh? We won't. Thank you. Nice folks at Railway. I should start advertising the drama and the AMAs on Reddit again. Again, we got to talk. Don't do anything until we've spoken. Abu Bakr says DDR3. He says Tara will not purchase DDR3. Okay. Will Shaw says ECC. Holowitz says ECC. Everybody's saying pass. We may or may not have right answers up. So I'm going to let that continue on for a few more momentos. Everybody pass. You know what? If everybody passes, I'll declare no winner and not have to do anything today. Oh, sorry. You know what? You're allowed to have as much fun on here as you want. This is a place to have fun as well as to hopefully do a little bit of learning and conversation. So I just didn't know that school. What a pen test club. Now I'm going to look that up with and find the context. That is some fine tea. My missus went shopping the other day and came back with a bucket of lemons. I haven't had actual lemon slices in my tea in quite some time. All right, is that it? We're out of guessers, and everybody that's guessed passed. I will accept that. So we declared no winner today. Let me see, make sure I'm not missing anything. This is a possible winner here. Okay. All right, I'll look that up. Blue Lantern. Let's take a look at the answer. The answer is ECC. And I want to go back. Somebody said they would be least likely to buy DDR3. The system has DDR3 RAM modules in it. It's got a pair of 4 gig DDRs, DDR3s. And so when you replace those 4s, those DDR3 modules, whatever size they are with new modules, they got to be the same thing. They got to be DDR3s. So she would very likely, she would have to buy DDR3s. She could buy single channel. There's no such thing as single channel RAM, by the way. And the same thing for dual channel. That's a function of how the CPU works with the slots. If it works with 1 slot at a time, it's single channel. If it works with 2 slots at a time, that's dual channel. 3 slots is triple channel and so forth. So the only thing left is ECC error correcting code or error correction code. And that is not something that we find in what was described in the question here, an aging Windows desktop, right? You use ECC RAM in server class products and very high-end, technical workstations and workstation products, where you can't afford as many errors as you can in a simple desktop. So, okay. 3 guesses, everybody passed. I will accept that, and I'll do something more fun next week. Or you know what? Body count is dropping every week. It may be that drama has run its course. I will continue to run through November and December, and if drama's done, if people are tired of it, and we're not, then I got no problem. I'm not here for me. Kind of fun. I like it, but if I'm not reaching an audience and then they're not interested, then we can reevaluate this or revamp it or do something else. All right, stop and share. And I'm sorry about that. Let me make a quick note over here. Dave, why didn't you give away a contest? Because everybody passed and there was only 3 guesses. Okay. No winner. And at that point, his sentence will say, you only had 3 guessers. Maybe we ought to reconsider whether or not we're doing a show. So I'm just trying to stay ahead of the curve on that one. All right. Well, for those people who did win this week, I will get those sent out the very second that I'm finished with the show here. And that gets me caught up. When you're buying RAM stick, number of channels is needed for info. Yeah. So if you have a dual channel system and you want to take advantage of that, you buy a matched pair, and they sell them in matched pairs. But that's kind of the cool trick of the whole affair. You don't have to buy matched pairs. You have to buy pairs with matched characteristics, or you can buy them with mismatched characteristics and install them, and they will work. However, they will work at the slowest of the characteristics between the two. So the slowest cast rate, the slowest refresh rate, the slowest latency, whatever. The system says, I can't make this slower RAM run as fast as this faster RAM, but I can make this RAM run as slow as this RAM. But obviously you want to get best performance. And so ideally, don't make the system work, don't make it adjust and say slow for you, fast for you, get matched sets. I purchased matched sets without purchasing matched sets. I'll look at the model number of a matched pair and then identify, okay, each pair has this model number. It's the same model number as this one. And then sometimes, not always, I buy one of those and then another one of those. And now I've made the same matched pair, even though they don't have that same pair modeling number. As long as the 2 individual modules meet the requirements of the memory slot and the motherboard, you're off and running. Thank you. I love doing drama, but and there is no buddy. I'm not bailing out on you right now, but I'm willing to consider it if that's the right thing to do. All right, is there anything else going on that page? Now we can shrink that down into nothingness. Nothingness. I don't play because I don't want to accidentally win like last time. I got a month less time left. You know what? Because of the low count here, we know we got low count. Mike's count is dropping a little bit as well. Unless we, start in putting flames on our faces and jack up the drama, people get bored with the same kind of thing over and over. Now, Mike is always interesting and it's always worth catching his show, and hopefully I'm a tad interesting. But it's like any television show, right? Eventually it runs its course and you say, how long can I continue to watch this? Young Sheldon is what, 34 now? Right. You're exactly right, Tullowit. So while people were locked at home during COVID, it was a lot easier to flip on the computer at 2:00 my time and hey, let's watch Mike or let's watch Dave. Everybody's back to work, or lots of people are back to work and don't have that opportunity. Blue Lantern, I love the new blue icon, by the way. That's outstanding. Hey, well, let's talk about project for today then, because I have a project for today. And today's project works on all kinds of distros, and it is entitled How to Determine Which Distro Your Linux host is running. It's a little deeper than that, but I'm going to show you some native built-in commands that will give you a good deal of information, and I'm going to show you a couple of utilities. All this stuff works on so many different flavors of distros. So for the project, required hardware, a running Linux host. And if you want to run the two programs that I'm going to run toward the end of this presentation, then you obviously need a network connection. So it happens all the time, right? You're buzzing along, you're using your Linux host, you're doing your thing, and you run across an article that says, hey, here's a really cool piece of software. And yeah, I love that. I want to try that on my system. And you read the requirements and it says, make sure you're running Linux kernel 5.15.2 or above, or you're running codename Buster or above. I don't remember. I just update it and upgrade it whenever those upgrades come along. So I need that information. Same might be true if you are a support person. You get a trouble ticket from somebody who says, I'm running Linux and every time I run Zoom and I start streaming it, it crashes. Well, maybe in that trouble ticket when they submit it, they know the information that you need. Okay, what version of Linux are you running? What distro? What kernel rev? And maybe they don't. So you're going to have to find out by either talking them through it or by connecting to them or going to their site and find that out. So the good news, it's really quick and it's really easy to gather this information. Just about everything we're doing today can be done on tons and tons of distros, most flavors of Linux, Unix, Mac OS. We're going to focus on Debian distros, such as Debian itself, Raspberry Pi OS, Ubuntu. Kali is a Debian distro. All right, so let's get fired up. We'll run putty pi at Ansible pi.local. I know you can't see it. It's okay. You will. Local. Buzz, 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 grind, grind, grind. You have to hit the enter key in order for it to buzz, 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 grind, grind, grind. There it comes. I got here. Cancel this. No on that. There we go. Password is raspberry on that guy. Raspberry. All right, I'm in now. Let's share. All right, so I'm connected to a Raspberry Pi. I think it's a 4, but it really makes no difference. A 0 would work just fine with this. A 2 would work fine. Anything, if it's running Linux, it's got everything that we need to do. So let's dive. Well, let me adjust my screen around a little bit so I can not kill everybody and everything. You go up there, you come over here, you drag down there. There we go. Now everything is where it should be. So when you boot up Linux, there's a lot of files that get filled out at boot time, and they change every time you boot. Maybe their contents don't change, but they get rewritten every time you boot. And one of them is a file called os-release. It's in the etc folder. And that's one of the things that fills out right away as soon as you boot up all the information about the release version of this distro is in there. So if we want to look at it, the simplest, quickest, easiest way to do it is to simply run the cat command. We did a show on that about 3 or 4 weeks ago. We'll say cat etc os release. And notice that I didn't have to run sudo with this. And it's nice and quick and compact. It's got this thing called a pretty name, which is made up of 3 other variables. The name, they still use in the guts of the core operating system, the name Raspbian, even though for marketing purposes, it's now called Raspberry Pi OS. It's still Raspbian GNU. And version ID is 11. And it is version 11 bullseye. So they slam all those together and create what they call the pretty name. There's our code name. ID is Raspbian. And this tells us which distro this is forked from, derived from. So it's a Debian distro. And not all versions of Linux provide all of this information. This is really cool because Raspberry Pi OS is very new. And so it will tell you where to get support. You can get it from raspbian.org on the operating system. And there's support forums and there's a bug report place. All right. Now here's another command that's built into the system. That was cat, and the file is always created. Those are the same in Red Hat Linux distros, Arch Linux distros. They all have that OS release file in the etc folder. Now we've talked about control files in the past. We've done systemctl, we've done journalctl. Here's another one, hostnamectl. And you would think that hostname provides you the name of the host, and you would be right. However, it provides a little bit more than that. So here's the name of the host, Ansible Pi. Again, I note that I didn't use sudo here. And the icon name is a computer. So when this thing turns up in a graphical environment like in a file explorer type thing, there will be a little computer icon next to this thing. The machine IDs and the boot IDs, these are GUID numbers. These are hopefully unique numbers in all the world. And here's the operating system information that I want. It's the pretty name. Oh, and that's the first time we get some new information. We're running Linux 5.15.74-V71 plus. I don't know what it all means. I know the core 5.15.74, but I don't know what that last part means. And the architecture, this is ARM as opposed to x86. x86 you would see if it was either an Intel or an AMD chip. Now here's another command that works and provides a lot of information, but you have to run it with different switches in order to gain all that information. The command is called lsb_release. And we could do -- help and find out a handful of those switches that are available. I'm just going to show you the ones that are kind of useful here today. LSB release, -A. So we don't worry about the fact that there's no LSB modules available. There's our distributor ID, Raspbian. There's our pretty name again. So this is repetitive, but it's just another way to get it. So our first method was to use cat and look at the OS release file. Now we're going to look at it at another way. Let's try another LSV release command. Nothing more than the distributor ID. So A is for all the information. And I got 4 more here that is each a subset of A. So I got LSB minus D. This is the description. Raspbian GNU Linux, pretty name is another way. R for release information. Release 11. And C for the code name. Buster, Bullseye, whatever the case may be. How about another name? This one provides information that we haven't seen yet. It's the uname command. And again, we could get some help with that and find out that there's all kinds of stuff about here, but notice that it's designed to gather information either about the kernel or the system, hardware platform, operating systems. So let's uname MRS, Mrs. And that gives us something that we saw before, just the version information of the kernel. Okay. For all of that, there is one really important piece of information that we need to know in order to run a lot of different programs. Are we running 64-bit Linux or are we running 32-bit Linux? If we're running 32, you can't run 64-bit applications. Just like Windows, you've got a 32-bit version of Windows, you can't install or run a 64-bit application. Other way around, mostly works, but there's some really weird stuff. There are some 32-bit apps that won't run on a 64-bit version of Linux. You got to install a 32-bit version of Linux. So the command to do this one is getconf, get config, short for GETCONF, no sudo here, and then this is all uppercase, long underscore bit. And all you're going to get back from that command is one of 2 numbers, either 32 or 64. The 32-bit system, you get 32. Now, we used cat at the beginning to take a look at the operating system file, the OS release file. I want to use cat again to move out a little bit of the Linux distro environment and start to dig into a little bit about hardware. So I'm going to cat, and instead of going to whack etsy whack OS release, I'm going to go to whack proc, short for processor, whack CPU info. This is a file that gets updated whenever the system boots with obviously information about your CPU. There's a lot of information here. It doesn't seem like it, but I'm going to show you why there's a lot and we can do that. So all I can see that's going on right now is core 0 and core 1. Oh, 2 and 3 went shooting by when I tried to scroll up through it. So I can't keep track of all that. Let's fix that. How about same command, except this time we pipe it through. You can either pipe it through more or less. Remember, more only allows you to go down a page at a time, and that's it. You can't search with more. You can't go backward with more, but you can do all that stuff with less. So we're going to cat proc CPU info, pipe the results to less. And now I get the first page of information and it stops. And now I have control here to do line by line, ups and downs, quits, searches. So what we're looking at here then is the 4 cores. Processor 0 is an ARM version 7 processor running V71 of ARM. There's our answer to that. And these are the features that are supported inside the CPU, right? There's native support for TLS in there. and virtualization is built into there. And so each of the cores here, a core is a CPU, right? This is a 4-core system. So I can look through these and find any similarities, any differences. They're all the same. They're not different cores in here. And then in the end, this tells me about the chip. This chip is a BCM 2711. That's a 4-core ARM chip. And it's got revision information on it. It even tells me what model of motherboard that this is installed to. Q to quit out of that. Almost done. So those are the commands that I can use to gather information about my Linux distro that are built into Linux. I want to show you 2 third-party utilities. One is called LSHW, and the other is called INXI, INXI. They aren't built into Raspberry Pi OS and most other operating systems, so we got to install them. We'll install them both with a single throw here. This one we got to use sudo for, sudo apt or apt-get if you like. Remember the new version of Core 1 and Core 2, 220.11.01 and 220.11.02, they have abandoned apt-get and they only want us to know about apt. So we're going to stick with apt. We've always done that here anyways, right? Doesn't matter what order you do these in. So I'm going to say sudo apt install LSHW, lshow, and INXI. And we go buzz, 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 grind, grind, grind. Hey, you really want to do this? Yes, I really do. I could have headed that off at the pass by finishing it with a -y. But we'll let it buzz and grind because you know how Dave loves buzz and grind. And the whole thing takes less than a minute to get all of them installed. And well, that's okay. We're done. Quick install. If you wanted to ever uninstall them, you can do sudo apt remove lshow or INXI or whatever. But they don't hurt. They don't take much room. So as with everything, we're going to we have help available. We can run INXI -- help. I'm just going to dive straight into the useful switches to make this worthwhile. Now, these commands, they run much deeper into the guts of the operating system than the built-in ones that we've explored. And as a result, we got to use our friend sudo to run them. So I'm going to start with INXI. INXI is the one that's going to give me insight on my operating system. So I'll sudo INXI -F lowercase x lowercase z, fxz, and let's go take a look at the results. Whoa, lots of stuff going on there. So this thing has done a very thorough survey of my hardware and of my kernel. So there's my kernel information. I'm running Linux 5.15.74 version 71 for an ARM 71 base chip. It's 32 bits. I'm communicating with this. There is a connection between me and it using TTY0. If somebody else were to connect to this machine at the same time using an SSH connection, they would be on TTI1. There's the distro info. And now we get into the hardware info. I'm not going to read all this to you. Speeds of the hardware, that wasn't information that we got from the other stuff we did, proc CPU or proc Etsy OS release. Advanced graphics data unavailable in console for root. There is no advanced graphics data built into the Pi. There's graphics. But we don't have an advanced driver to turn on the advanced features inside the CPU, such as Vulkan, which is continuing to grow and build. We got information on our network connections. ETH0 is up, running gigabit. My wireless LAN is up, and the MAC addresses are filtered out of here. We can get them by using different switches. You get the idea. Now we zoom through a lot of stuff there. You can also pike this through less. We lose the pretty colors, but we get a lot more information without blasting past it. Okay, so this has some hardware and some operating system. Now let's take a look at LSHA. Again, we're going to need sudo, and I'm just going to drive straight into the practical output. So I'll say sudo lshow dash short. Surprise, there's a long version of this. This is much more hardware focused. There we go. And it's kind of pretty. You let me scroll up and down to there? No. Okay, it all fit on one page. So these are processes and sub-process numbers in a tree style fashion. So everything has a different unique number, and it summarizes some of the information that that other utility that Inksy doesn't. So my processor is a CPU. It's got 32K of level 1 cache for each core. There's my 4 different cores on there. And those are kind of identified here as 1, 2, 3, and 4 instead of 0, 1, 2, and 3. Got 12 megs of 0 cache. It's got 4 gigs of total system memory. You get the idea. So there's more with this. What else do we do here? lshow help. We can get the output in all kinds of different formats. Text is what short does and gives short paths as opposed to full paths. You can send it out in HTML. You can make JSON blobs out of it, get different classes, filter by class, lots of good stuff. So that's our goal. We wanted to find out some different ways, some tools to help us figure out what version of Linux we've got, some other information about our system. There's times when it's critical to know the details of the operating system running on your host. Common Linux commands and files are available to gather this information, including the whack etc whack os-release file and the whack proc whack cpu info file. Built-in utilities, hostnamectl, lsb release, uname, and getconf all give us information about the OS and or the system hardware. There's plenty of other third-party utilities. We picked a couple of popular ones here. We used lshw and inxi to gather and present information that we need about our systems. And what's nice about them is it provides a lot of information with a single command. So if you use or support Linux systems, get to know these commands and utilities, practice with them, research the output. You'll be a much more capable professional for your efforts. All right, here endeth that lesson. Let us see what's happened in the chat panel while I was away. Muchly. All right, I'm reading past 3:06. Time mark. That's the second time Oksana got mentioned this week. Will Shaw, I want to go to a pub tonight. Must resist. It's Friday night. Why must you resist? Especially since you're off for the next 3 days. Is baseball on tonight? Game 5. I'm going to miss it. I missed all of last night's game. I worked until 1:30 this morning, starting at about 7 o'clock last night. And now I'm going to work from 4 till at least midnight. Going to miss the game. But the good news is it's not the final no matter what. There is 1 to 3 more games left. Get a system with issues. It'll help you stay occupied. And I do go to pubs. Good. Andre, I have many systems with issues. One project at a time. You do. See, no time to go to the pub. Studying drives me to drink. Oh, so I was reading that wrong. Studying drives me to drink. He, good man, hot and cold. I had to help somebody write an essay, not an essay, a how-to the other day. I was teaching somebody how to write a document, and they wrote how to make a cup of tea because it had to be geared for a neophyte, someone who's never made tea before and wasn't familiar with the process, but they've heard about tea and they want to start trying teas. It was fun. Andre, if you could only see how much beer is in my pantry left over from my hike and brew. Cool. A friend of mine, a co-worker who doesn't participate in the show, but he works very closely with Michael Smyer, got married a couple of years ago, and he's quite the suds aficionado. So he and his new missus jumped on an Amtrak, went cross country, and went brewery hopping over in Big Brew Country, California, and came back with lots of stories of great ales, and it was a lot of fun to hear about. I had to use a lot to try. Okay, you had to use that, Will Shaw, to try and fix. Oh yeah, your great sound problem. Never got it working. Sorry, man. Keep your path short and your powder dry. I don't want to walk too far or have misfires. So I heard there's an ISO standing for making tea. Standard. Wouldn't that be funny? Because they make standards for everything, don't they? There's great variables in tea. I mean, not just the type and flavor, and are you going to do loose leaf or are you going to do flow through bags? How long to steep your tea? What's the best temperature to drink it? Best temperature to make it is boiling, and there's no question about that. We're trying to extract the oil from leaves. If you drink while you study, does that mean you should drink before your test as well? Right. Hopefully most of us geeks here have seen Beer Fest, and we all learned the lesson of drunken recall. I learned it when I was drunk, and so the only way I'm going to be able to remember it is to get drunk. ISO 3103. Nah, it should be something that's got, I agree with the threes. It's got to be a 3 and a 4. There's the E and the A. Do what you want with the L. All right, how are we doing here? 33. We're pretty well wound up. The presentation was short today. The contest was a no-win. We did do the good first hour, so I'm happy with that. So I'm going to, there's nothing new coming up. Will Shaw, jump for loss, voucher cost. Wonder if taking a test with a buzz would that seems like such a bad idea. I always get in the sim loaded. Why? It works. I hope so. It is a movie to be loved. Beer Fest is a ton of fun. Again, right up there in my top 20 or so guilty pleasure movies. All right, well, let's wind things up just a little bit. So upcoming episodes, still a lot of projects on tap. I found a project this week in preparation. I'm wearing pants. Oh, but I guess I didn't have to. You can't see them. I'm looking at myself on camera. I found a project this week that I found intriguing. Wow, how long is this cable? I thought it was very short. Okay. This is a Bluetooth speaker. It's got a USB power connector. The USB micro, which means it has direction. So don't plug it in backward. You only get to do that once. And so we can plug this into a USB port. And I think I will plug that in now because I want to charge for next week in case I do this one next week. I don't think it'll take a full week to charge. But then again, you never know. I know I'm bouncing up against the microphone. I apologize. It's probably going clunk, clunk, clunk. There, now we're in charge. And Bluetooth works great with Raspberry Pis. They pair easily and it's a lot of fun. But this thing was the opposite. You, of course, can direct connect a speaker to a Raspberry Pi for regular output. There's a piece of software out there that will let you take your Raspberry Pi, your 0, your 2, your whatever, with its physically direct connected speaker and turn that whole assembly into a Bluetooth speaker receiver. And we got to know about Bluetooth. We got to know about pairing. We have to know about audio systems, all for A+. So that's going to be a lovely fit. If I have time this week, I will prep it for this week. If not, the following. Doing a lot of astrophotography. I've had a ton of fun with that. Some of you may have seen the image that I posted on Discord a few days ago. I went out at 1:30 in the morning and discovered marvelous clear skies here. And I said, well, I'm just going to do a little bit of astrophotography, just pointed the Pi cam up to the sky. I didn't put it in today's pictures and I would like to add it. Let me see if it's here in downloads. I remember calling it Meteor. Because guess what? I wasn't looking up at the sky. Out there, it is, Meteor Streak. Okay, we can get it this way then. M-E-T-E-O-R, M-E-T-E. There. Let's close this. So I wasn't looking up at the sky other than to kind of aim. What are you doing? All right, that looks like it's fine. Toward Orion. I wanted some pictures of Orion. I've been taking the Pi cam out for a while and doing Orion shots, but I don't have a stand that is acceptable. And so, I kind of brace it up against the pole and try and hold it steady and issue the command from a keyboard over here. And there's always a little bit of wiggle. So I designed something of a stand to help stabilize it. It's not perfect. And I'm taking pictures and pointing and taking pictures. And then I went to look at the pictures and I found this magic moment. It happened when I wasn't looking up and I was just kind of knocked out, bowled over. Okay, we're sharing. So here's Orion's belt. This is the roof of my patio. So here's the tip of his arrow or his leading hand. There's his back elbow. His head's here, the 3 dots. And so I was still kind of organizing, but right there is this marvelous meteor. You can see these stars are shaky, so my stand still needs much improvement. And that's what all this is about. It's kind of magnified the shakiness of the stand and what I was on and using. But holy Hannah, just a tiny little super bright burster. And that's what we're not gonna do meteor shooting. We can. There's great meteor shots. If you can point to the center of the meteor contact, you get this great set of things. But there's only 4 or 5 good meteor showers per year where you can pull that off. But that was just cool and exciting, and I was knocked out and bowled over. So we will be doing astrophotography using a camera that you're probably not going to want to spend the money for, and I don't blame you. They're not horribly expensive. You've already got a Raspberry Pi. You can get a 64 megapixel Arducam that's good for daylight and nighttime. And prices have been dropping on them. I've seen them for 60, 65 bucks. I saw one for 49 the other day. If I didn't already have one, I would have bought it. But I'm good there. Of course, our fun project that I'm really looking forward to doing is doing setting up a web server and putting a certificate in it. It's fun, it's easy. So those are upcoming shows. All right, last look for final questions. Oh, wait a minute here. So this Monday, Mike's doing a regular show. And then on Wednesday, we got Steve Nicholson back. He's going to talk about the role that Active Directory has taken into the A+ exams. After that, he will be Mike's regular substitute more often than not, at least on Wednesdays. If Mike bails on Monday for the moment, Steve isn't available on Mondays, and I'll cover those. But he will cover any absences that Mike has to make on Wednesdays. I don't know what that is. And topic will be his discretion, unless Mike says, hey, I want you to talk about He does the same with me. We got Doug Jones coming up in later this month or sometime next month. He's the guy who's the support engineer for the network on the International Space Station. All right, check the last questions here, and then we'll wind things up. How are we doing here? 41, it's not too early. Okay, lots of shorties. Oh, I'll tell you what the last thing I'll do. I'll post the links one more time since it's end of day. Okay, the AMA specials. Password this week through Sunday night is spooky. The Discord invitation. It's a permanent invitation. Click on that and you may join the nice folks at the unofficial Total Seminars Discord server, UTSD, whatever. Pi R Square server, sitting right here on top of my forehead. Losing balance like that, right? And email addresses, and that'll wind things up. Zippity-doo-dah. And that's email addresses, and here's the LinkedIn address. Okay, guys, had enough? Yeah, it looks like it based on the quantity of people here. So as ever and always, my eternal gratitude to Mike Myers and everyone at Total Seminars and National Cyber Group who so generously provide us with resources and time that we can get together here every week. My most heartfelt thanks goes to you and everyone who comes here to participate live and watching the archives later. This has been and will continue to be Dave Rush. I'm the senior instructor at Total Seminars and resident Pi specialist. Wishing you a great weekend. Take care of each other, take serious steps to stay healthy, and if at all possible, call or visit your parents. And never forget, technology is great, but the greatest resource we have are you and I. And with that, good night. I will not see you on Discord tonight. I've got to get on this project. I want to get it done before the weekend starts. So apologies. It'll be on. It'll wonk at me. If there's something you need to communicate with me, I'll look over, but I can't go hang today. And so with that, then, I will see you at the AMAs and drama next week. And until then, I am out of here.